quickly. Maybe you'd like to react to some of the things that have been said, but my question to you also is, where have we been getting it wrong as a nation? Why are we still having this conversation even after many years and several efforts?
One of the key reasons why we are getting it wrong is because of people like Sheikh Mahmoud Gumi. In a clear case of a war, because he's talking about bloodshed, there has been bloodshed. Nigeria has been a theater of war for almost 2 decades. Possibly it is not affecting him directly because most of the casualties, most of the mass murders is that of Christians. He appears to be a negotiator, but to be very honest with you, he has advocated more for appeasing the terrorists rather than advocating justice for the victims. And I think it's important to us because I believe he's an Islamic cleric. He understands the concept of justice. How do you deal with a scenario of people raping women, people killing soldiers, people decimating homes, people sacking communities, but then the strength of your advocacy is that the government should appease them? Where in the whole world, in the history of any war, whether guerrilla warfare, whether military warfare, have you ever found a situation where there is an active bloodshed going on and then you believe that appeasing the criminals that are carrying out these genocidal attacks and infusing them into the military will help? From the very beginning, when the notion of amnesty, de-radicalization and integration began, we have never seen a scenario where these repentant terrorists, as they call them repentant, have ever led people to their camps and they were decimated. They have been growing exponentially. They have been acquiring more arms. So that is basically the problem we are having. We are getting it wrong simply because we have managed to create a false narrative. An example is we have managed to compartmentalize terrorism or these Islamist activities to look as if it is only Boko Haram that is doing it. The reason is because the rest of the terrorist groups that are jihadist in nature have been forged into different names. For instance, he's talking about two fighting. There is no two fighting anywhere. It is important also, we would love it if you are able to have an example of one Christian militia that is operational in either Sokoto or any of the Muslim dominant state that have been raping women and killing people, then we can understand that. And at least the Muslims who equally lend their voice and say, okay, whatever it is the Americans are claiming that the Christians are suffering from, we are also suffering from it. And since it is all about eradicating terrorism, then good, come and eradicate them. But I think the problem is not just because there are foot soldiers who are killing people. It is because there are people who are sympathetic to the jihadist cause, there are people who are sponsoring them, and the involvement of any foreign nation in a scenario where there is a genocide does not end with the foot soldiers. It traces those who are sympathetic to their cause, whether because of political or religious or ideological beliefs. It equally traces those who sponsor them. And I think that is primarily where the problem lies in Nigeria. We are not sincere with the war against terrorism. Once it involves, because wherever you go to, we can't force ourselves. Most of the time, you find a lot of Muslims claiming that these people, they are not truly representing Islam and all of that, blah, 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 and all of that. But the truth is that there is an Islamist, well-armed Islamist jihadist group that has been massacring Christians. And what we find, unfortunately, people who should be speaking or condemning this act are busy trying as much as possible to create sympathy for them. You can imagine him saying that killing the terrorists will now amount to genocide. Then what would you tell the people that have been burying there? For instance, just of late in Yelewata, over 250 people were killed. But he describes that not as a genocide. He says two fighting, even though we don't know of...
All right, Zaniyi, Yusuf.
Hello and welcome to Interject on POV Nigeria on radio. My name is Henry, and what you just watched is a video, a sample interview as made possible by News Central, and that was between Sheikh Gumi and Mr. Zaniyi Yusuf, a former national coordinator of the Middle Belt Patriots. There's no gainsaying, according to Mr. Zaniyi, that Sheikh Gumi should be, of course, enlisted amongst many reasons why insurgency and terrorism in Nigeria would find it very difficult to be nipped in the bud. As self-acclaimed negotiator, Mr. Sheikh Gumi has been responsible for advocating that insurgents and bandits should be not taken seriously. And that is the reason. According to Mr. Yusuf, he said that how can someone be advocating for bandits to be giving clemency while the victims of the bandits are languishing in IDP camps across the country? And this is part amongst the anomaly that we have. I do not know the symbolic value of Sheikh Gumi. And every transition from one government to another, starting from Muhammad Buhari, had always shown Sheikh Gumi as someone who is important. And Nigerians have always asked the question, how important really is Sheikh Gumi to the national unity and progress in this country? He knows where these bandits are. He knows where their camps are. And every single time he is given the opportunity to so-called negotiate with them, what we see is a proliferation of these people. What started with Boko Haram had given rise to so many other subset of insurgents and terrorist groups across the country. And the same Sheikh Gumi is still insisting that he understands how to negotiate with them. And lots of Nigerians have raised the question or begged the question. We truly do hope that Sheikh Gumi is not part of these people, because it doesn't really make any sense. You say you're negotiating for clemency for people who are raping women, killing young children, killing babies, which begs the question still, what is the crime of these babies? What is the crime of these young people? What is the crime of women in a position of war? And we're not even at war. What is the ideology of these people you're negotiating for? According to Zaniyi, whenever these people are negotiated, at the end of the day, these people get integrated into our society. Allegedly, some of them get even enlisted into the Nigerian army and the Nigerian police. And these are the people who sell information to their brother bandits, so as soldiers and military personnel are often killed. And every day we sit back and hope that things would get better. With people like Sheikh Gumi, according to Mr. Zaniyi Yusuf, we can never find a lasting end to banditry insurgency in Nigeria. I'm so very happy for what has triggered Donald Trump to have labeled Nigeria a CPC. And at this point, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is now on his toes, doing everything possible to ensure that this does not escalate. And this is what we call good governance and not politicking. I truly do hope that all of these things would come to an end and that Nigeria would learn the hard lessons of not supporting banditry, of not supporting insurgency in the name of trying to, treat them with kid gloves. It doesn't make any sense. People have been killed, people have been massacred, and rather than prosecute the people who have caused all of these things, you de-radicalize them, give them hard-earned money, and these people regroup themselves to still commit more harm. And you're telling me that is negotiation? You're telling me that is dialoguing? How can you dialogue with a terrorist? Every now and then we see it in Katsina, we see it in Sokoto, in Maiduguri. These bandits having peace talk with rural communities. And you tell me that is the best way to go according to Sheikh Gumi? That killing of bandits amounts to genocide? And someone is telling me, according to lots of Nigerians, that this man is not complicit for some of these things? I think enough is enough, really. If President Bola Ahmed Tinubu knows what is within and around him, he should ensure that this comes to a lasting end. And people like Sheikh Gumi should not be brought in the picture in any way, now and in the future. That's all we have from Interject. Please do well to follow us and subscribe to our YouTube page at POV Nigeria. I'll see you next time on the next sample on Interject right here on POV Nigeria on radio. Bye-bye.